You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics, where we go beneath the surface of music and tech. I'm your host, Dmitri Vietze. I'm the CEO and founder of Rock, Paper, Scissors. We are a music tech PR firm. And today I have a repeat guest with a brand new topic because the whole world is brand new right now. I've got Fabrice Sergent, who's the managing partner and co-founder of Bandsintown. Fabrice, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Dmitri. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. Hey, so you've got a lot going on at Bandsintown. The entire music industry, especially the live side, took a nosedive with this pandemic, with the self-isolation and quarantine and so many different ways in which people are being very careful and obviously can't go out to see shows. Let's just kick it off. Why don't you tell us about the new live streaming features that Bandsintown has launched during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, within days we refocused the entire product team to try to help artists face and address these new challenges. So first, we introduced a new Watch Live feature, which enables artists to publish directly from their Bandsintown account their live streamed events. They used to be able to publish live events, and now they can publish live stream events. It will appear within the Bandsintown ecosystem in as a watch live call to action. So it used to say buy tickets, and now it's going to say watch live. And it will also enable fans to ask to be notified when the show starts. And Bandsintown will send alerts via emails and push notification to such fans before the show. So that was the first step. And we also updated our widgets and APIs and all these tools that we give to artists for free so that they can promote their live stream shows easily across their own properties.
That's very cool. How's traction on that? I know you turned it around extremely quickly, built new features and so forth. Have you been able to see how pickup has been both from artists and fans?
Yeah, both reacted very favorably. Lots of artists now are indeed live streaming to stay in touch with their fans, and we now provide them a free tool to promote such live streams. So thousands of artists have been posting dates. We have now, I think, more than 20,000 hours of programming available on Bandsintown if you want to watch all these streams. So it's.
Did you say 20,000 hours of live streams have been
Huge.
posted on Bandsintown?
Yeah, it's huge. So it's
Wow.
it's kind of it's growing exponentially every day. Artists are posting more and more live streams. We see festivals, we see venues that are adding new events. And so we also completely changed our app. We updated our app, which has been approved at light speed by the app stores, which we're very grateful for. And we also updated our homepage, bandsintown.com, which enables now to browse through all these live streams.
That's great. So you've also taken a curation and concert promotion role in on your own way in that you've started your own live streams on Twitch. Tell us about that.
Exactly, that's the second aspect of things that we've started. We felt immediately that artists and their crews will be first or will suffer a lot from this crisis. Mostly because they 80% of their revenue come from live and merch in general. So not being able to tour especially at the beginning of the touring season, is a huge issue. We thought that we had to help. And one thing, so we immediately called Music Air and Twitch and offered to create a Bandsintown live channel, which we are now promoting quite heavily across all our media channels, to feature artists doing home concerts and raise money for Music Air. So that's the first things that we did. And the second thing is that we negotiated with Twitch an agreement through which all Bandsintown registered artists which have more than 2,000 followers on Bandsintown will be pre-approved and are pre-approved and fast-tracked to start their own channel on Twitch and start collecting what they call bits, which are some sort of a tip jar, donations, or they are able to sell subscriptions so that they can start and explore new monetization opportunities. So on one hand, we're giving to charities On the other hand, we are raising awareness to help artists be able to start monetizing their art in a new way, in a new fashion, and it's up to them to find the exact way to do so.
So without this Bandsintown seal of approval of having shown traction with 2,000 followers on Bandsintown, what does it normally take for an artist to be approved on Twitch for monetization?
Well, it takes some time. It takes a month or so, and maybe sometimes more, because Twitch didn't have the resources and the team to onboard, many artists at the same time. Bandsintown has a verification system for artists, and essentially 530,000 artists are registered to the platform. So we're both helping each other. We're enabling artists to access this feature, and we are helping Twitch in processing all these requests by vetting actually the artist.
So what about other live streaming platforms or opportunities? Is Bandsintown integrating with them? Are you programming for them? What else is going on beyond Twitch?
Artists can choose their favorite streaming platform, and all the alerts that I was talking about, this new watch live features and all the things are open to any platform. So right now artists are adding live stream from Facebook, from Instagram, from YouTube, obviously, and many other platforms, Stage It and many other platforms. So we have made a choice, as far as we're concerned, to start our own live music showcase on Twitch, because it was enabling us to collect donations for music care immediately. So that's as simple as it is. We've been pragmatic, and we've built this relationship with Twitch, and so that's what we're doing. No, we will continue to educate artists and enable them to work with the platform of their choice, and maybe several platforms at the same time. Really want artists to explore new monetization opportunities and be very pragmatic about all of that.
Tell us about the Thursday series that you're doing and what the approach to curation of that is.
So that's the programming we are putting on our own Twitch channel. We started with Black Coffee, which was our first headliner. Got a lot of success, like 85,000 people watched it. And we also programmed our live music marathon, which was last week on Wednesday and Thursday last week. We had 16 artists play, and all raising money for music care. And 16 artists, they were like emerging artists and more established artists, and we also featured all kind of genre. We were trying to be as diverse as we could, with also artists from all over the world, which is very important to us. We will continue to program such a live music marathon every week with 3 artists per day on Wednesday and Thursday, because we want to continue to raise awareness for the artists, raise money for music care, and give also an artist an opportunity to showcase. The strategy is to present emerging artists on one hand and more established artists on the other hand. We will specifically partner with selected festivals or venues or music label. And actually next week we do have we're starting with a partnership with a music label. So the programming strategy is very much focused on bringing on the spotlight new artists, as well as we always do, as well as raising awareness, and therefore working with more established artists so that we can raise as much money as we can.
But you'll have partnerships with like a record label, for example, to sort of bring it all together within a scene and present kind of a more concert-like experience with artists that may be in different bedrooms or living rooms, but have kind of a similar flavor.
Yeah, that's what we did last week. Actually, the live music marathon was very much about that, and that works super well. People like the diversity of the style, and they liked the different type of artists playing from their home, actually. So that's yes, that's exactly what we have in mind.
So did we cover everything that Bandsintown is doing in response to this COVID-19 situation and the shutdown of the live music industry? I want to talk more contextually, but I want to just make sure, did we leave anything out? Anything else that you're doing you want to mention?
Well, we are continuously improving the product. We will introduce new type of alerts and guides, which will essentially connect with fans at different levels. So fans will receive alerts based on a genre. Right now, we are not grouping tour dates by genre, but for as far as live stream, it sounds like it makes sense. So fans will be able to receive new alerts based on genre music they may like, so that they can choose among the streams. We will also create more visibility for all these artists that are accepting to showcase on Bandsintown channel. We will offer them packages so that they can promote their music and themselves among Bandsintown followers. So we're expanding rapidly the overall toolkit with this idea that our priority are the artists. So as much as we can, and we are very open to suggestions. I know your listeners are very much connected to this industry. Please reach out. Feel free to reach out because we're moving fast and we can definitely onboard with ideas if they come to us.
So, Fabrice, you've spent all this time building this incredible network community platform for live music. All of a sudden, everything's changed and you've moved so quickly and had so many conversations. I'm curious to ask you, what are the most interesting things that you've learned in this short period about live streaming and artists having to work and perform remotely? What comes to mind for you that sort of stuck out in the bigger picture?
Well, first, the addition of live streams to Bandsintown is a natural expansion. At the end of the day, Bandsintown helps discover artists and events, and now we help actually discover live events, but physical and virtual live events. And that project was frankly already in the making. We thought that it was not necessarily, frankly, a priority to release it, but the backend had been already developed, and that's why we've been so fast at moving over the last 2 weeks. Because we always thought that at some point this would be something we would want to release. So now what we are learning, and that's fascinating as we speak, is that we believe that these new intimate sessions are way beyond a replacement and shouldn't be actually perceived as a replacement of the physical live events. They are a new form of entertainment, in my opinion, or some will be, and some artists will find their own format, their own recipe to entertain fans through these intimate sessions.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you talk about it as a new format, because I think that's one of the things that had been challenging about live streaming before is that people wanted a concert and somebody was trying to sell them a live stream a lot of times. A lot of platforms and startups were trying to solve this problem that a lot of fans didn't think was a problem, that they actually wanted the smell of the and the taste of the beer and the opportunity to dance or flirt with somebody, meet somebody, or just experience what it's like to be in a room with thousands of people or a venue with thousands of people listening and beating along to the same music. Now that's all taken away overnight thanks to the pandemic. And so there's a reason for people to try this for the first time. But what you're saying is you don't think it will replace the live performance over time. It's a new thing. It almost reminds me like podcasts are to radio what live streaming is to concerts. It's not exactly the same. It has a different format. It has a different emotional response, but it's still something that will be appealing to people.
Your analogy with podcast is interesting. Indeed, any new media that becomes successful has to reinvent it. I mean, has to bring something to the table and not only try to mimic the previous one, right? And so there must be some cannibalization between a lot of cannibalization between podcast and radio. But you're correct. There's a the most successful podcasts have a special flavor that is different from a radio show. I would say that in the case of live stream, I personally hated the streams before. I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like watching a festival online just because I couldn't get there. I felt that the disconnect, the lack of tribal experience, to use my favorite expression, was so important that I didn't see the point. Now with the intimate sessions, the ability to look at the fans eye to eye in a way, and this ability to connect in a very personal, approachable manner, turn artists into real human beings in the fan. And so they are definitely different from the way they used to appear on television, on radio, or on online on stage. And that's what I find interesting. I would have thought that most artists that today are happy to jump on a live stream would have refused to do so before. Had we offered them
Mhm.
to come and play, I mean, especially the top ones that didn't get the right makeup and are filmed in their living room or in their bedroom for some of them, all of these people, which frankly are turned into fake puppet for some time, but by publicists in many cases, honestly, suddenly become real. They become humans, and I think that's to their best interest. They finally become like you and me, and they have a complete different type of connections with the fans. So it's different than the other formats, and that's why it's there to stay. That's what I like with it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the tribal experience with music, with going out to concerts with friends and meeting people and things like that. And part of what goes with the tribal experience are certain rituals, you know, the rituals of concert going, waiting in line, buying tickets in advance, traveling somewhere, getting the proper ritualistic wardrobe for the festival. All those things are happening. And a lot of those things don't happen in a live stream, but there's other rituals that come into play with this new medium. And you know, the chats, the emojis, the subscriptions and follows, but the direct interaction where somebody on a live stream might shout out to a specific micro patron from the live stream platform. So it's definitely different, and I see why you refer to it as intimacy. And you know, that brings us to the question of, are there specific artists that you've seen in the last couple of weeks that are doing especially interesting things, effective things, things that you think other people should hear about and try out?
Yeah, I guess there's no best practice or rules that one can follow except to be very authentic. I mean, it's hard to not to be. But I saw things like FaceTiming, for example, a friend, or I remember Amanda Palmer when she on at the Bandsintown Live Music Marathon when she had letters which were essentially saying "I love you." What she did that she had written "I love you" on her wall, like physical wall, on piece of papers, which she pinned, and then she took the piece of paper and put them in front of the camera one after the other with each letter saying "I love you." And that was so spontaneous, so effective in terms of just almost like a dance, like something that was surprising, that drove fans crazy. Fans also like, by the way, when kids are running around. Black Coffee had his kids playing with his turntable and run around when he was spinning records and for spinning music, and it was funny. It was more than funny. It was the type of things that makes it a good set. So
Yeah,
touching.
touching.
So it's sometimes unexpected, and it's obviously sometimes very well done. It just makes it real.
It's interesting. You talk about her having this "I love you" across the wall and taking it down and showing this up. Whereas in a traditional concert, in a way, it almost feels like there's a wall between the fan and the performer. And even though there's a screen between the fan and the performer in this new live streaming world, there's something about the interactivity, the dynamic, and the rituals of this emerging format of live streaming concerts that breaks down the wall.
And that's we're just starting. I don't think this is a typically I would use the word marathon. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Things have happened, unfortunately, very brutally. And yes, people are at home, and artists wants to stay in touch. But over time, it's going to take maybe some months and years to develop this new form of entertainment. Artists will have to find a way to market these shows, these new shows, and hopefully we're here to help. The, as I repeat, but the first thing they have to do is to add these live shows on the Bandsintown platforms, so at least they become visible for everybody. They will have to learn how to monetize these experiences, through sponsorship, maybe some classical advertising, or just keep them free to increase engagement and connection, or maybe to promote an album launch or a new tour. So this will essentially become a part of their toolkits to interact with fans, and they'll find their own ways from a content point of view to do it nicely and to do it. What will happen? What's going to be interesting is that when people will be able to go outside and
Mm-hmm.
these lives from different settings and environments, and maybe with a little bit more help in terms of production, will this vanish because once again it will become too sophisticated and heavily overproduced, or will it continue because some artists will continue to make it fairly intimate and understand that this is what actually fans are looking for?
Yeah. Well, I think a little bit about the artist labels and the management teams who had kind of a method of doing promotion, of supporting tours and so forth, who are probably listening to this. And, it's turned upside down for the artists, but it's also turned upside down for the rest of the industry. I'm curious, for those labels and managers, maybe even agents, what advice would you give them about how to approach their careers, the work they do in this moment?
Well, that's labels have some a different challenge from obviously the live teams, but it's still a challenge. Even though we see and we think that music streaming will continue to grow. Obviously, people being at home, they may not use as much radio in the car as they used to, but they definitely will continue to subscribe always more to music streaming services. So there's a upward trend supporting labels at the moment, and that's great because at the end of the day, it supports artists, and they need it. But they have to take into account that if there's no tour, if there's no live events in the making right now, they still have to help artists release art. And that I understand that that's not an easy situation because now things go usually together and in a sequence. But times of constraints like the one that we are going through are a great moment for creativity, for expression, and so I hope they're going to continue to support artists in this period of time.
Yeah. So are there specific tools? I mean, you mentioned there's this watch live for the live stream element for notifications. What other tools and Bandsintown should artists and managers be using right now or even in the long term? Let's just get a little specific before we get past this question.
Well, the other tool that we usually recommend is the post to tracker. We are the only direct to fan platform that enables to hit 55 over actually more than 55 million registered users. We are not filtering artists' messages, so artists can message for free directly to their inbox or through push notification on an app. The fans that are following them. So obviously they can choose the kind of message they want to share. They can publicize a album listening party, for example, which I saw Fish actually doing that
Hmm.
yesterday. You can do a promote your live stream as well if you want to do it manually and post that message. You also can do that. Um, Merch is still something that artists are posting right now. Fans understand that buying merch is a way to support their favorite artists, so why not? And we see a lot of frankly, obviously 90% of the shows that have been canceled are actually being postponed. So we see some bands and artists announcing new dates. Obviously, these dates are for the second half of the year, but it's starting to populate the database. We lost about 100,000 events out of
Wow.
450,000 upcoming events that we had at the beginning of the crisis. And for the first time this week, the number of events stopped their decline. So we have more events being created, but that obviously includes live streams.
Well, at least it's replacing the missing piece for people who want to continue to interact with the artists they love or the fans they love.
Yes, absolutely.
So what else are you hoping to see come out of this in the coming weeks and months? It could be something specific that you guys are thinking about, or just something bigger in the music industry, or even in society. What are you looking forward to?
Well, there are implications. So if we see music live stream as a new form of entertainment, it may also become a new form of interaction for other type of artists. I'm thinking specifically of stand-up comedy. The stand-up comedians are using Bandsintown. We can mention that here. We will take specific initiative for stand-up comedians to help them, and they can always obviously take advantage of what I just described for music. They are suffering a lot, as much as the other artists, and they think that there will be an interesting new format as well that will be invented to have people to entertain people during these tough times. But that's just one example where talents will utilize these new platforms to try to build the following and try to connect with their fans in this new context. So it will be very interesting to see how this helps reshape how media consumption is done. And I would bet that this new form of live events will take their share of the market.
Yeah. So folks who've never used Bandsintown, they can download the Bandsintown app. They can make an account on the web and start to follow bands and start to see these live streams. They can check out the Bandsintown channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bandsintown, I think is how you get to that channel. Is there anything else you want to put out to our listeners, announce any calls to action you might have to further your mission?
Well, just again, add your live events dates into your artist profile. That's your help. Your help the artist being notified, the fans being notified, obviously, and sort out among this chaos what they are looking for, and help them never miss a live show, a live stream from their favorite artist.
Awesome. So it doesn't matter what platform. It could be Twitch, YouNow, StageIt, YouTube Live, any of those things.
We love them all.
All right. Awesome. Hey, Fabrice, thanks so much for coming back on the show. Thanks for all the amazing work you're doing for the music industry, for artists, for fans. It's so cool. I mean, you're really a role model for how quickly a tech company that's building a community, a platform can pivot so quickly. Nice work, sir.
Thank you, Dmitri. But hopefully we'll have an impact, and we're working hard, and we won't stop. Thank you.
I'm sure you will. All right. Thanks, Fabrice. And thank you for listening to Music Tectonics. Please hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and go to musictectonics.com and sign up for our newsletter. You'll find out about Weekly Webs Day. It's an online music tech meetup that we're doing every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. And in order to get into that and get the password, you've got to sign up with us. So check that out. And we'll keep covering interesting things happening to respond to the pandemic, stuff like live streaming, remote collaboration, remote education. Would love your ideas of other topics and people we should talk to for the Weekly Webs Day. Just tweet or post somewhere with hashtag Webs Day with any of your ideas. We'll be back with more episodes soon. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.